Let's talk about the Trackmania Grand League point system. The Grand League is the biggest esport event in Trackmania, hosted twice a year by Nadeo, the company behind Trackmania themselves. The point system in TMGL is a very heated topic with lots of arguments for and against it, and I want to have a rational look at those arguments and see what this is all about. Before we begin, let me say that everyone is entitled to their own opinion. In times where internet bubbles divide opinions into extremes, I challenge you to imagine the other side of things and have a fair discussion in the comments if you want. The TMGL system makes players earn points over 6 steps. A step is played every Sunday on 6 maps. On the first 2 maps, you earn points according to your position. The better your position, the more points you earn. So far, this looks very normal. To spice things up though, on map 3 and 4, you will lose half of your points if you finish the map in the bottom half. On the last 2 maps, you will even lose all of your points accrued in the previous maps. So, to finish a step with many points, it's crucial to stay in the top 8, especially on map 5 and 6. After the 6 steps, we add up all points and the top 8 players make it to the playoffs, where the overall winner will be determined. I won't be talking about the playoff rules today, by the way. Those were also changed last season to make the playoffs fit into 2 hours and were critiqued heavily, ending in an open letter from the pro players. All of that was not about the regular step point system though. We will only be talking about the point system to get to the playoffs. So, on first sight we can see it is a system that turns up the heat the further we get into a step. Although very unusual in the racing scene, I instantly thought of many game shows that do similar things, where rewards get doubled after an ad break or they have a final round that can turn all things around.
We'll be back in a moment to start Double Jeopardy. Now back to answers and questions and the Double Jeopardy round, and here are the categories.
It creates a lot of excitement for the viewers and builds a climbing tension arc. Anything can still happen, so you have to keep watching. On the other hand, a player can be on first place 5 maps in a row and then lose all points on the 6th map, which is not too rare of an occasion. But let's have a look at all the pros and cons I have seen around one by one. Pro: tension arc. The strongest argument for the point system. You know what? I started this research after the fall season in 2020 and went into the research with an open mind, neutral position. I enjoyed the TMGL and I kinda understood both sides, but after writing the script and researching the topic, I now hate this system. I'm sorry, this is now a one-sided opinion piece from me on the point system and why it should be changed.
So, yeah, I don't know.
Oh man, I felt so good, man. So freaking good on the last 2 maps, and then oh my god. Yeah, I don't know. That fucking sucks, man. I hate this system, like...
There are some pros, but they are so weak. I can't do this from a neutral standpoint. Do you know that almost all pro players hate the system? All viewer polls I could find on this show that the majority, up to 80% of the viewers want it changed, and for good reason. So let's get into it, the tension arc. The biggest positive and kind of undeniable argument for the point loss system is the tension arc it builds. But we have gone way overboard with this. A single step involves so much luck and revolves only around the last map or maybe last 2 maps, it is ridiculous. Although a lot of simulations were done, that over the 6 steps it kind of evens out and the best players will still be at the top. Firstly, that analysis is a bit flawed since the players' strategies would change in another system, like with no point loss. And also, why is that an argument against changing if the results would be similar but feel more fair and less luck-based? We need to adjust this luck level a bit to the skill side. One possible solution would be to go down to 50% point loss. This wouldn't change much on the end result as shown in some extensive Excel calculations, but it would keep a match history, a sense of progression to look back upon and remember instead of wiping that completely. It would leave the players less depressed and make it feel a little bit more fair, like you can keep a few of the points you fought so hard for. The more points you have, the more you would lose when caught in the 50% point loss, which would keep the field tied together and interesting. Plus, it would dent the oh so precious tension arc barely. Huge upsets and turnarounds could still happen. A step further to the skill side would be something similar to the Formula 1 point system, where the bottom half would gain no points but also wouldn't lose any. That would resolve another issue I think is super weird right now. We're all closely watching the fight for 8th place all the time. Don't you want to rather follow the top positions as a viewer? I personally do. You could maybe argue that takes away from the cheap tension created by the point loss, but it would make the TMGL system way more professional. Like we're actually trying to find out who the best player is instead of this depressing clown fiesta. There are lots of interesting fights happening that are drowned out by the fight for 8th place. Next argument for the point loss system. Oh wait, that's the only real pro argument. Yeah, other arguments from the pro side are only about that the best players still rise to the top, which is actually kind of true, but not a real argument against changing the system to one of the others. The perception is that this is an unfair luck-based system, even if the simulations show that the F1 system would mostly change the middle field and not the top and bottom positions, and look more or less the same. This perception is crucial. Ever heard of the placebo effect? Yeah, the mind is a powerful thing, but it's tricked easily. That the math checks out in a similar way is completely irrelevant. Why not change for any of the other reasons? A professional look for TMGL, happier pro players, finding out who actually is the best player in a more consistent way. Having the same point system as Formula 1 would also make this way easier to understand for new fans and maybe even make sponsorships from the traditional racing scene easier. Alright. So let me provide an even better solution for the TMGL instead of the F1 system, where Nadeo can keep the tension arc in place, make the casual viewers happy, but also please the people opposed to this point loss system. A compromise, so to say. This whole topic reminded me of an anecdote from World of Warcraft. In the early days, they introduced a new system managing XP gain. If you played for too long, the gained XP would go down and limit the reward to keep you from playing 16 hours straight. It was a huge upset. The most dedicated fans felt betrayed, putting in so much effort and then being penalized for it. Blizzard still wanted to keep it in place though, but they changed one crucial thing. Instead of lowering XP after 2 hours, they flipped it to where players would get bonus XP at the start of their session. Do you see how the outcome is the exact same, but feels completely different? If Nadeo really wants to keep their point system, what about cutting the point loss and making the top 8 positions worth 1.5 or double the points on the last maps? The psychology would be completely different, but the aimed for tension arc remains. Let me know if you think this could work, or if you have any other ideas. I know I got a bit angry in the middle here, but Nadeo claiming most people like this super weird point system facing plenty of opposing evidence is just so frustrating. Please don't go and hate on anyone from Nadeo or whomever. I actually think Nadeo and the TMGL is doing better and better with every update, and I love the Grand League as a whole, otherwise I wouldn't care about this so much. All the small features they added, like the viewers on the track and the chance, the winter mod, making highlight videos of the steps, are all really great. But they are all band-aids over the gaping wound which is the point loss system. I really hope they consider changing it. I understand what the system was supposed to do, but I'm fully convinced the aimed for tension will be there With my point multiplier version of the system and the positive side effect of a more professional look, and happier pro players will outweigh the pros of the point loss system. With all the changes they are making, I am still confident they might tackle this in the future, but for now, let's try to still enjoy the amazing league called TMGL. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Subscribe for more Trackmania content.